Good morning. Well, welcome back to Good Morning Anambra. Well, we are still on this morning giving you all the necessary tools that you need to make your week complete. And in the studio this morning, we'll be talking about stopping human rights violation. And in the studio, we have guests, two gentlemen that will be delving into this issue. When I mean delving, they are grounded in what we are talking about this morning. And on my immediate left, we have Barrister Joseph Ahanti, who is a legal practitioner. Barrister Joseph, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, the Anambra.
Yeah, and far.
And good morning, listeners. Thank you.
And we have Ifeanyi Ogonebunam, Civil Society. Ogonebunam, please, Ibukwanam Biko. Civil society activist. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Anambra this morning.
It's a pleasure being here. I'm Molako.
Well, you already know the other person, my co-anchor. Ne.
All right, the National Human Rights Commission said it received 1,701,519 complaints about rights violation in 2021. This came through avenues including the Protection Department of its headquarters and state offices. And of course, there is something with our people here. We are going to find out from the lawyer in our midst and, of course, the activists in our midst whether our people actually know their rights, not to talk of violating it. And that's why we are here this morning. Good to have you in the studio.
Stopping it.
Yes.
Because for you to be stopping something, you have to understand that it exists. It's already existing. Barrister, human rights violation in Nigeria. It's already existing, and we are now propagating ways to stop it. In your own estimation, what do you think human rights violation is? Because it's a fundamental civic right of every citizen.
Yes, when you talk of human rights violation, it means there's a right, and that right is already violated. By one word or the other is violated. So we need to understand the right itself, so that we can now talk of the violation. You see, our constitution listed some of the rights you need to enjoy as a citizen of this country. And you look at from section 36 down to 42, then you discover some of these rights. It includes right to life, right to fair hearing, freedom of speech, right to religion. You have the right to attend any religion of your choice. Then you also have you have the right to associate with people without being discriminated against, and so many other rights. Then if these rights are not given to citizens, that is where you now talk of violation of that right. So if your right of having your life is not given to you, if your right of being heard is not given to you, if your right of being or living in any part of this country, if your right of being given what is for you without being discriminated against, these are rights. Like women, they have the right to get what the male counterpart is having in the family. But these rights are violated. Some Igbo tradition, customs are against allowing a woman to get what the other male counterpart is having. It's violation of that right. When you don't allow people, maybe during the election, allow people to vote for a candidate of their choice, in any way you mandate people that they must vote for a particular party, you are violating the rights of the people. If by religion you are telling someone that you must be a Muslim or you must be a Christian, you are violating the rights of that individual. There's right also that even if you commit a crime, you are presumed to be innocent until a court of competent jurisdiction say no, you are guilty. Go to section 36 sub 5 of our constitution. These things are rights which you need to enjoy. You have your right to live unless a court say no, this is your life, you don't need it again, simply because maybe you must have taken a life. So these are the rights.
Okay.
Then as we proceed, then we can now look at whether these rights are there or these rights have been violated. But let me just stop here for now.
All right. Oh no, I'm sorry. You know, let us critically look at this issue. One thing we know in Nigeria, I know that there's been a law, freedom of speech in Nigeria, but today in this country, some people will write some things on social media or say some things and they are taken away, you know, by security personnel. So what do we call that in the face of what Barrister has said earlier?
Well, it's only in police station that you're already guilty even before trial and investigation. Policeman will tell you that you are a thief even when he has not done one single investigation. Abuse of office, abuse of power. We have freedom of information and full disclosure of information. Has it happened? We have freedom of movement, but some persons will tell you on a certain Saturday you should not move around. Conflicting laws. Conflicting laws. The Magna Carta says every human being has right to move around. We had a particular time in this country when you will be arrested for malingering and all what's not. Right to life. Go to the hospital and you see where nurses and doctors are taking life. Somebody is brought in bleeding. You'll be demanding for money. Deposit has not been paid in A&E. Right to life. The medications they give there, does it give life or take life? The process of giving those medications, does it enhance life? I don't want to talk about the chemist shops, the pharmacies, and all the rest of them. Even in the market, where's the measure? You have right to buy a certain quantity of an item. You pay for that. And you look at our banks. I deposit money with you. I want my money. And you will restrict me from having access to my money, my hard-earned money. But the unfortunate thing is that many of us don't even know we have a right. Many don't even know we have a right. Not talk about knowing when it's being violated. What about freedom of association? Do we freely associate? And I begin to laugh. Yes, what's the big deal? Must I associate with you? What? I have my rights. My friend, what are you saying? No. Every human being, even your child at home, he has his rights. The other day we were laughing in the night, yesterday night, yes, when a baby was crying, he wants to suck her mother's breast. Because the mother was, you know, everybody was like, madam, the husband paid for this thing. Go and give this child. And the child, after sucking, slept off. We deprive ourselves. Not talk about the one that government does to us. Not talk about the ones that other individuals don't do to us. The first issue is that majority of us don't even know that we have a right. Because you can only talk about violating your right when you know you have a right. And I do ask, how many Nigerians have Nigerian constitution to even know that you have a right? Where is National Orientation Agency who are supposed to be teaching all these things? We do civic education, go there, stories.
Okay, that's why we are here actually, to let people understand that they have these rights and what actually these rights are, and before we start talking about stopping the violation. Now, from the report from the National Human Rights Commission, the statistics they had in 2020 is much more in 2021. They had 1,700 and something in 2021. Then in 2022, it was, okay, 2021 was 1,280. 2021 was 1,701 and thereabouts. That means it's increasing, it's not even dropping. So, Barrister, would you let us know why this is so? That, something is wrong. Instead of minimizing or trying to do something to stop it, each year we see it increasing.
Thank you. Before I go into that, let me equally point out that the rights actually has some limitations.
Quite, we agree.
Yes, so that people will not just think that we are discussing something abstract. There's rights, there's limitations.
Responsibility.
You have your right to move does not mean that during odd time you move in the night. The only thing is that if you move at odd time, if any security agent accosts you, should ask you, who are you?
Yourself.
Who are you? Where are you coming from? Identify yourself, explain yourself, how you continue your movement. But to stop somebody from moving is against the law. But that is what we normally see in our society. Hey, who goes there? Who are you? Hey, come here, lie down. And you see, that is why it is increasing. The point is that we are getting, in fact, we are getting mad almost every day. The society doesn't care. Once you get into office, that is all.
You become a demigod.
That is all. You give
No,
order.
he's a god, not a demon.
You give order anyhow. So you don't expect it to decrease, because the democracy we pretend to practice in this country is not working. Look at the election that we just conducted. Will you call that election? An election international observers came to observe. Presidential election. A former president came to observe. By the time they went home, we were not told again. We were informed when they came in, but they left in anger. That is the country we are into. You heard one MC in Lagos, telling a group of people, Igbos, if you don't vote, it's in public domain, so we're not talking what is abstract. He said, if you're not voting APC, you better not come out, because if you come, we will kill you. And it happened. People were killed. People were intimidated. And nobody said anything. And I saw Festus, our brother from Delta State, Kayamo, yesterday writing to DSS to arrest P2B and that simply because they said something. But somebody that threatened people and
not just said
on it.
He said and acted is let free.
So that is why the abuse will continue, because those in power, they look the other way when the crime is in their favor. But when you are ready to call a spade, I expected Mr. President-elect to condemn such acts. Up to this moment, he has not made any statement. And the KMO is busy writing, I don't know, writing petition. A lawyer, senior advocate of Nigeria, reducing himself to that. No. This country belongs to all of us. And when you see these things happen, you begin to wonder. And that's why I say the madness continues to increase every day. Because we see things that violate the rights of our people, we don't say anything because it's in our favor. That's why you're having increment. It will not reduce until we begin to observe fundamental rights. First of all, we go back to our constitution and give Nigerians the power to renegotiate. That is where our problem is. You cannot say that the unity of this country is non-negotiable. Even in marriage is negotiable. You go to altar and say for better, for worse. But when the worst come, you renegotiate. So, let's not fool ourselves. When we go back to the constitution and say, if any part of this country is no more interested in staying here, you go. That is when we begin to have decrease. Nnamdi Kanu is still in custody. When a court of competent jurisdiction has said there's no charge against you. And that's why Mr. Governor is always saying, please release Nnamdi Kanu. People are not getting the point. And somebody is somewhere there holding him. Where's Sunday Igboho? He has disappeared. So when there's conspiracy against a group of persons, then the country will not go up. Then how many months now the Court of Appeal adjudicated on Nnamdi Kanu issue? And that matter moved to Supreme Court. What happened? How many months now? Are we saying that the Supreme Court justices have no time to look into that matter? When matters moves from trial court to appeal court, you don't need to put in witnesses. What you do is to evaluate evidence. When it goes to Supreme Court will have to evaluate, and that was what they did in Naira redesign, and they were able to come out with judgment within some weeks. Then why is Nnamdi Kanu still in custody?
All right, the program is Good Morning
Violation of
Anambra. We are talking stopping human rights violation in Nigeria. We have a barrister in the studio and we have an activist here also. The program is audience participatory. You can call with the phone line on your screen to make your own input on any issue raised here. Now, Ajula, I know there's something you want to ask.
I wanted to ask the civil society activist. He made mention of a lot of violation of rights. The question is, as a civil society activist, I believe you guys have an umbrella of association. What are you guys doing in order to liberate so many Nigerians of this violation before we now begin to talk about curbing it?
First, the human right, whatever, is giving us an obsolete.
That's an index. The one she just gave us.
An obsolete information. Talking about 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
2022 is gone. 2023 is on the ascendant.
Yeah.
And we are still talking about statistics of 2021. Where is Public Complaint Commission? What is their duty? Those are the issues. Now, unfortunately, the courts are not functional. Enforcement of fundamental rights in any court in Nigeria, you sweat like this. And at a point, you get tired. How many judges, magistrates receive or give attention to fundamental rights issues across Nigeria? You'll be shocked. So when a case is pushed and then no result, and then we also have the issues with legal practitioners. How many of them are ready to get involved in fundamental rights issues? Pro bono services. Because somebody's right who is being violated may not even have the money. That is where the problem comes from, first and foremost.
Isn't the state meant to provide, let's say, an instance where the state
the
provides
states,
let me come in there so that we will not go astray. We have legal aid department.
Yes.
That provides pro bono. Even when I was doing my youth service at Owerri, I was part of pro bono lawyers. We give services to. We move down to prisons, then get cases, take those matters. I think the problem we have is not the judiciary wholly.
I agree.
And the entire, then the
judiciary is part of the society.
The problem is execution. It's the executive.
The executive, okay.
The court will give order. The executive will sit on it. I have handled fundamental rights matters severally. But when you get the judgment to execute, becomes the problem. Especially when even it is against the state. The executive will not even when you garnish it, if it's on maybe a court to give award, garnish the account of the executive, the law will now demand that you should write to the government. The government you need to garnish his account. You now begin to beg the same executive. So I think the executive is part of the problem. Look at what Supreme Court did in the Naira redesign. It said, maintain status quo. I will look into this matter. What did Mr. President do? He went ahead and said, start using 200, leave 500, leave 1,000. Then Supreme Court went ahead and gave a judgment. What are they still doing? Up to this moment, you and I know that there's no money
Anywhere in the bank.
in the bank. That is the society we are into.
Okay, now, Barrister,
Yes.
we've seen cases in Nigeria in a broad daylight where people's rights were abused. For instance, the End SARS 2020, where people were protesting and they were shot at, unfortunately. And so many others, like somebody going his way, or somebody that went to buy something and in the process they were arrested. And some of them did not come out from it till today. So do we see a possibility of, putting this to an end in Nigeria? Do you see a brighter future to human rights in this country?
I think your question is, the only way to put an end to it would have been if we got the last election right. The same daylight robbery you are talking about, we saw it during the presidential election, where the clear provision of Electoral Act that said a presiding officer should transfer the result from the polling unit. That is the law. Even INEC came out to say, when we do this, forget about the information you get, it's rumor. But at the end, what happened? So when when the process of recruiting leaders is entirely wrong, what do you see? You see intimidation. If you come out to protest, people will tell you don't have the right. So I think for us to start seeing light, that was why Nigerians came out. The youth came out to say, we want to have our way, we want to vote our choice, somebody that can respect the rule of law. But at the end, what did we get? A single man, the chairman of INEC, played on our intelligence and gave us another thing. Nigerians are keeping quiet not because they don't want to protest, but the same group of persons will intimidate them if they come out. That's why we're in court. So I challenge the judiciary, the court, to help us and get things right.
You are back to where I was.
That is the point. They should help us. They should be bold enough to stop the abuse.
Because I know
if they are bold enough to say, no, what we saw on 25th of February was wrong. Look at the right way of doing it. Then the abuse will reduce. Because you will get people that have respect for rule of law to be in charge. And when they're in charge, whatever thing you want to do, they will respect the court. But what we have today, they don't have regard for court. And the intimidation and the abuse will continue.
If you were about saying something.
Yes. I thank God that at the end we came to the basic issue. You don't tell me that one arm of the government is stronger than the other.
No.
If the judiciary stands on their feet today, I tell you some of these things will change. The judiciary has a lot of authorities to wield. I thank God the other day that the chairman of EFCC, who was remanded to prison, at least he knows that he's a human being. He now understands, look, the right I have is the same right that others have. So until the judiciary themselves, that's why I'm talking about the law. Look, the conscience of the society rests on the judiciary. Anywhere, anytime. And once they are unable to stand their ground and wield the big stick, my brother, the executive will keep. Because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The powers also reside in the judiciary. What makes a person or a government tyrannical is because they are able to bully the judiciary. If you are able to bully the judiciary, they come out with their judgments and enforce their judgments. They can. Are you saying that the judges don't have right to go on strike and say because this judgment came up, you didn't obey it, because this happened and this? But the matter is that many of us lack the consciousness within ourselves. How did they get to that position? Did you get there rightly? How did you ascend to those positions? We are hearing somewhere that some people use wheelchair to go somewhere, to negotiate somewhere, and discuss somewhere. So it's still a anyway, it's not from me.
So now you're saying that the judiciary
are responsible.
Is not independent as the case ought to be.
They have never been independent, and I don't think they will be independent.
No, but that is what we need in order to run a true federalism.
It's not just that, sir.
You understand?
It's the persons, the operators in the theater of law. Look,
the system is what we should be talking about here.
It's part of the recruitment process.
The person comes and leaves, but the system should have a statutory way of.
It is somebody who operates the tractor. The tractor does not operate itself.
Okay.
The recruitment process is judiciary.
Okay, there's something.
Have you ever heard that they advertise one thing or the other?
There's something I would like Barrister to let us know here. You know, we have the youth today. You know, they want to take back their country.
Yes.
And some of them may not really know their left from their right when it comes to knowing the rights, the rules that govern so many things in the society. Now, Barrister, is there any way that these youths could be taught or could be, what you can tell them to do about proper information they need to get on knowing their rights and knowing the excesses, where they need to stop and what not about fundamental human rights, so that they don't overstep their bounds?
No, I think it's not entirely correct to say that youth don't even know this.
I said some may not know their
The point is that the leaders, those in authority, refuse to give the youths the chance.
And that's what I'm saying, because from what they are seeing,
they read from primary school to secondary school, and from secondary school to university level. So some of them you look at, you say, no, this person don't know anything. That person knows something. The point is that the leaders in authority have not given them the chance to. So the youths, most at times, go beyond expected, simply because the government, the authority,
the people
is
that are supposed to
hard on them. So at a point they will say, if you want us to die, let's die. Remember, the instance, they not just start. There were demands, there were moves to see if the government can do something. And government refused to do something. The youth will always demand for something, and they wait by the side and say, okay, let's watch. And you refuse to do something. Okay. At the end of that EndSARS, there were committees set up by governments. How many of them has come out with something?
Reports.
With report. That is the problem. So if they come up tomorrow again now and protest, somebody will begin to say, use again. The election we just had now is a very big insult on Nigerians and the youths. They are keeping quiet. If they come out now if the DSS try what somebody is telling them to do now, and the youths come out, you blame them. Because if they arrest P2B now or Ahmed, you see them. And I know DSS know the implication. So that petition by KMO is simply calling for war as far as this country is concerned. If anybody touch P2B or you touch Ahmed, you are calling for war. Because you can't beat a child and ask the child not to cry.
All right, hold it.
So,
hold it
the
there,
youth-
Barrister will still
Good.
come back. Okay, the program is still Good Morning Anambra, stopping human rights violation in Nigeria. At this point, we'd like to take a short break to bring you some polls of the masses concerning the issue at hand. We'll be right back. Please do stay.
Human rights is an inalienable right. It is fundamental. Every being is supposed to be accorded or to enjoy this human right. A country like Nigeria, it is difficult for us to say that we don't have our human rights. But the problem is, how do Nigerian government protect the human right of its citizens? Yes, they have been careless over this. Just look at what happened recently in the last election. In places like in Lagos and some other northern areas, discovered that most people were disenfranchised. The court is also one of the instruments of stabilizing human rights in Nigeria. The police force, also, all security agencies also help, and they are supposed to be part of the organizations or agencies, the elite agencies that help protect human rights. Though, unfortunately, things are not the way we expected it in Nigeria. Things have gone out of the way everybody wants it to be. And we cannot kill ourselves. We must live, we must resist, and we must try our best to assert our rights.
Human rights violation is mostly experienced in this our country, Nigeria. We just concluded an election, and in this election, there are so many rights that were violated. So many people were disenfranchised, which is in the constitution. You're not supposed to disenfranchise anybody that is willing to vote. But you find out that in this election, so many things happen, and Nigeria should find a way to reduce this to the minimum, because people are losing hope. If you go to embassies this time, there are so many people that wanting to leave the country. The Nigerian constitution is a detailed constitution, both the amended, and if the government and everybody should go in accordance with that constitution, things will be done better.
As a country, we need to have a law that will not allow that to happen, so that anybody can be safe in the person's country. If a country has a law that people that will enforce it are there, that is where we can be safe. No, if we don't have any law, we don't respect law or anything, we have no hope for it. The only hope for it is law.
Human rights are inalienable rights of every human being, and we understand that it is the central focus of every government to protect and make sure that every human being, the virtue of being human, that the rights are being protected. However, many a time we see that people's rights are being trampled upon, maybe by fellow citizens or even by the law enforcement agencies who are supposed to help out in protecting their rights, or even the government on whom they have a social contract with to protect them and give them such rights. So the issue of human rights violation is something that is that's alarming, most especially in third world countries, as in Africa, in Nigeria particularly, and is a case. Is a contemporary case looking at the just concluded general election, how people were disenfranchised from casting their votes. I still think that we're trying to be westernized. We're trying to be Western is a problem, such that in Africa, some of the things that we copy from the Western world, we're not yet grown to it, and as such, trying to measure up by one of the issues that borders on why our right is being violated. I think if we accept our culture first, accept our age and our time, I think the violation of human rights in Africa can largely be brought to a minimum.
Good morning, Anambra, where we're talking about stopping human rights violation in Nigeria. This is a very, very deep topic, you understand? And I'm just a great person when it has to do with this. We've heard a whole lot where people were saying that there is no law in Nigeria. We heard about somebody saying the police were even part of the perpetrators of denying Nigerians their human rights, talking about the last general election. But when we talk about human rights violation, I think the easiest or the nearest that comes to our mind would be the election that was conducted on the 25th of December. Of February, and the one that was conducted on the 18th of March. The question that comes to my mind is that we have professors as our INEC coalition returning officers all over the federation, and in fact, the umpire himself is equally a professor. Now, the question I want to ask the learned man in the studio is this statutory in Nigerian constitution that professors will be INEC returning officers and a professor will be at the arms of affair of the INEC?
No, there's no law that provides for supervisors to be returning officers. I think that idea came during Jega era. As a professor, he also thought that professors should be a helping hand in getting things right, because ordinarily to be a professor is not a day job, and when you're a professor you have your integrity to protect. But unfortunately in Nigeria today, people don't think of protecting their profession. Only the lawyers. If lawyers does anything, the people will begin to talk. Yeah, he's a lawyer, but he did this. But if another person does the same thing, people will not see it that way. So I think the professors were brought in for a purpose, to get things right. Unfortunately, they disappointed Nigerians.
All right, please hold it there, please. Our time is fast, but there's something we are wrapping up. But before we do that, let's try to bring in what we have. When you go to the market to buy a television, there is a manual, that helps you to know how to go about it, to operate it so that it will last for you. And Christians have their Bibles as manual, Muslims have their Quran as their manual, and we have lawmakers that make laws which are supposed to be adhered to for things to work out fine. Now, in the case of Nigeria, why is it that it seems we don't have a law in place? According to the last speaker that says there is no law in Nigeria, and I don't know if why is it that we don't? It seems we have no manual, which is law, to guide us in this nation. And what do you think could be done, to ensure that we start stepping the tide on human rights violation in Nigeria?
Number one, onyisi kaya wana mwana adiro n'ofe. Egwe na nnu adịrị ọ dere anya na ọ gwa gị ma nnu ọ dị ama nnu adịrị. Agwọ emere ife o ji bụrụ agwọ. Ụmụaka ewere ya mere eriri eji eke mbe n'ukwu. The issues are very simple. Do we really have a constitution? Our constitution is saying a different thing in words. In spirit, it's a different thing. The interpretation is also a different. Our constitution is like a basket that cannot hold water. That is where the issues are. Nigeria will be a federating state. That's what is there in paper. In practice, what happens? So when the fundamentals are not right, I don't know where you build on. The governors are still cap in hand. The concurrent and exclusive list, when you look at them, you begin to laugh. We have a unitary state in operation as against a federating state. These are the issues. So when dead body get accident, we are in a situation where I was among those people who are saying 1999 constitution should be completely jettisoned. And then we sit down with the people, because that one, I don't know where it came from. We inherited it. And then
way forward.
Then the issues are the National Assembly themselves. Do they really know what they are doing there? That's why I'm very happy that we are having almost a brand new set to see if there will be hope. Somebody who is aspiring to be a lawmaker, do you really understand what it means to make law? And the laws you are making, are they watertight? Just like somebody who is, just some days ago, he was convicted of a law he made. Yes, if you are a part of the people that made a law on human trafficking and all what's not, and you are just directly involved, you did it.
Way forward, quickly.
The way forwards are very simple. First, we must get our fundamentals right.
Which is the Constitution, is that what
The
you're saying?
Constitution, number one. Then, we, the people, will also have to start telling ourselves the truth. Who do we send to represent us? Who do we send to this? Because government did not come from heaven. Government come from, people in government come from within us. When you are given a position you know you are not capable, please, my brother, tell yourself the truth. Then when this consciousness starts coming into us, then our education curriculum, as far as I'm concerned, need to be revisited. What are we training our youth to be? Useful or not useful? The development plan of Nigeria has no correlation with our educational outputs. These are issues. So when the fundamentals are not, if square pegs are put in round hole, I don't know where we get.
All right, quickly, Barrister, way forward.
The recruiting process must be looked into. Recruiting lawmakers in the National Assembly. I think we attach so much interest on party. This is our party. Even when your party is not getting it right. And that is why you are having rubber stamp lawmakers. Look at the Electoral Act of 2022. By 2023, we are giving a very different
Wrong interpretation. Wrong interpretation.
Electoral Act that say results should be transmitted. The Senate President, we heard him saying that is not what we meant. And we heard the other members of the lawmakers saying, Mr. President, you don't need to interpret this for us. We know what we did. So when we have a clear conscience in recruiting these guys, forget about party. That's what happened in 2023 now.
All right, let's welcome
other political parties. So when we get people right, they will go there and defend Nigerians and not political parties. If you come up with an issue, people will look at it and say, this is how it ought to be. And the lawmakers should try as much as possible to give a clear meaning of whatever law they want to make.
All right.
Remove ambiguity. Don't allow the court to start interpreting. Because some of the people in the judiciary will get it wrong. And once they get it wrong in interpreting that section, you have created chaos. You have not done justice to that matter. And Nigerians will now live in perpetual bondage.
So is there any hope for...
There is hope.
There is hope.
Because I believe that the National Assembly we are going to have now will not be a rubber stamp.
Are you
National
talking
Assembly.
of the state?
Okay, our time is up,
The
please,
state
gentlemen.
assembly members, they are not going to be rubber stamp.
Our time is up.
That will be taken over from the governor.
We could go on and on, but sorry, that's the much we can take on the program. Would like to appreciate you, Barrister Joseph Angante, a legal practitioner, for being here.
Listeners.
Thank you so much. Ifeanyi Ogunebunam, civil society activist, thanks for your time.
And Ambrarians, please go and update yourself.
Thank you so much for watching. Let's put all hands on deck to stop human rights violation. And Nigeria will be better for all of us. My name is Nonye Nwokoye.
And I'm Ajulu Chukwu Okabwe saying thanks for your time. God bless.